to belt or not to belt? That is the question. I'm constantly doing voice teacher training, right? There's constantly developments in this field especially. And one of the things that we have to do for my training and my certification is constantly read these articles that they give us, to give us knowledge. And this article that we had to read, this debate on belting, was spicy. People are triggered, and we're gonna read it because the tea is hot. Okay, let's go. So here's the article. Okay, this is who wrote it. Musical Theater Singing, Let's Talk. Examining the debate on belting. And let me tell you, it is a debate. So the big thing that it talks about is what the frick belting even is. And at the top, it'll say, so is chest voice singing or not? Okay, that's the biggest F up of where people get confused is the language around what is a belt. And you're going to see that through this article. You will see that musical theater singers, it's like something we do. In musical theater singing, the part of the voice, the chest voice, is often called the belt. Well, I even disagree with that. Possibly derived by the fact that singing produced in this register requires more productivity in the abdominal region. Okay, fine. But then you'll see the classical singers. For years, classical trained singers have been taught that the chest voice is not a legitimate register for singing. I'm sorry, what? Makes sense when I have classical students coming to me because they don't know how to use their chest voice. And it was, and still is, frequently regarded as Broadway singing. Okay. The literature also suggests, the dichotomy that exists between teachers and the profession. And this is where it gets spicy because you're going to see the singers are like, the performers themselves are like, this is not that bad if you do it right. And the classical teachers, mostly just the classical teachers, are like, about it. Down below, the most prevalent opinion is held by classical trained voice teachers who argue that belting is both aesthetically offensive and deleterious to the vocal mechanism. Okay. In opposition, a smaller nucleus of voice teachers and a substantial number of performers, the people actually doing it, defend belting as an artistically exciting quality that with proper training may be relatively risk-free. So these disagreements, we're going to talk about why these disagreements exist and, maybe arguing that maybe classical singers just don't know how to do it because they are basically applying the wrong principles to making that sound. Okay, this is group one. These are the opera people that are just ripping belting to shit. Belting typically refers to extending the chest voice register higher in pitch beyond the point one might usually switch to head voice. Well, if you do that, then obviously that's going to be bad. In female musical theater, the female chest voice brought all the way up to an octave above C, sometimes higher. Belters can push chest voice up to a C, including operatic tenors who can also sing a C in chest. And this is where it starts to get weird because people who actually teach belt teach this mixed belt thing. And the truth is, if you try to pull up that thick of a sound all the way from the bottom, of course it's going to be uncomfortable. And this is the discrepancy that exists between the operatic community and the musical theater community, because the musical theater community isn't asking you to do that, but the opera community is like set in their ways about insisting that that's what's happening when it's not. Oh my God, they're so extra. So here, belting, the practice adopted by pop singers and pep singers, particularly women, okay, is the driving chest register too high in the tonal range? Belting is not a legitimate use of the mechanism and is extremely detrimental to vocal health. Okay. Is it? Is Celine Dion okay? I'm pretty sure she's okay. Now we're going to get into their real opinions. No wonder they hate this. Good Lord. To belt is to sing in a forceful manner using the chest voice. When you use the chest voice in a forceful style, this is called belting. This is so wrong. It's just wrong. You must be careful belting because you can cause your range of your chest tones to be high pitch. You can damage your voice. Belting, the unhealthy use of a strong chest voice, is the middle range as high as C above middle C. Sorry, I have dyslexia, so I'm not reading this well. If you are not in chest voice, the note won't have the force of the belted sound. The belting style, so prevalent in musical theater, creates even more tension, and there is no control over intensity levels. Sorry, there's a man outside of my window. The vocalist is overworked, there is no balance of resonance, breath pressure is too high, and the tone is straight. These conditions indicate a state of severe vocal misuse. Carrying female chest well up into the middle voice is a pernicious, is that how you say that? Pernicious, there it is. Technique sometimes used by entertainers, singers of musical comedy, rock, belting. Even though tastes regarding the use of chest vary nationally to some extent, all the schools are aware that the danger of making this use of the chest mechanism outside of the lower range of the voice. And you're going to see here, the musical theater people are like, well, yeah, that's called screaming. But the opera people can't seem to understand that there is another way, that you're not just pulling chest up all the way. That is not what's happening. That is not what it feels like. But let's keep going. They clearly feel very strongly about this. I mean, for God's sake, to belt equals singing in a forceful manner. No, it doesn't. But you know when it does feel like that is if you're blowing a lot of air and you're approaching it like an operatic phrase. Oh, hell yeah, it's gonna feel like that. So it sounds like they're not used to approaching it in a different way. Now, let's see more what's going on here. Good Lord. Belting means pushing the chest voice up into what would be normally lower notes of the head voice. This yields a gusty, vibrant sound with little beauty of tone and a sharply curtailed range. I honestly just think they don't know how to do it. Oh, here's the one at the bottom. As voice teachers, it is ethically incumbent upon us to explain to the student that belting is in contrary to the nature, and that over a period of time, belting will probably have some deleterious effect on the voice. This is why people are so messed up about it. Okay, let's see what the contemporary teachers, the people that actually study belting and can do it, what they have to say about it. Okay. These are the theater teachers, okay? Belting is not chest voice. If the chest voice is mistakenly used and carried up to the high range and taught as a belt, the vocal instrument will be ruined. Yes, it will, okay? Chest voice is a classical technique and belongs with that field of singing. That approach of singing, of pulling all of that way up, is not what people are trying to teach y'all. A workable definition of belting might be vocal production that proceeds out of the speaking range with the prosody of speech, and that promotes a sense of spontaneity and aggressiveness. So it's more valuable to think of belting as actually like a primal speak like call quality. That's why everyone's like, call, because we're not trying to get you to overthink it too much. It's actually more natural than you think it is. Belting is a direct, primitive expression having its basis in speech and having a greater degree of thyroid. Thyroid is a cartilage that makes the vocal folds fatter. Okay, that's what that is. So there's more TA activity than Western classical singing in the middle and upper middle of the voice. It's important to understand that healthy belting doesn't include excessive heaviness in the lower register, and it is not pure chest resonance. So the contemporary teachers are like, yeah, no, that's true, but like, there's another way, yo. Belting, therefore, is not chest voice singing. Rather, it is the coordinated activity of thyroid and cricothyroid vocal fold activity that, although thyroid dominant, is influenced by increasing cricothyroid activity, especially as the scale ascends. So remember when I'm like, we need to slowly thin out, slowly give over? That's what that is. It's the thyroid making the vocal fold really fat, slowly giving over to stretching, the cricothyroid stretching the vocal fold. That's what's physically happening. We need to slowly give over, although it tends to be a little thicker than usual. Major misconceptions. This is important. Belting causes vocal nodules. Belting is the same as chest voice. Belting is more strenuous on the throat than classical singing. Belting causes hoarseness and weak laryngeal muscles. Belting can't be taught. And classical cannot be sung by the same individual. This is wrong. This article is showing you this. This is the misconception. These beliefs are not true. This is also important. It's acoustically different. The shape of the word and how it is spoken is intrinsic to the sound. The sound seems forward in comparison to classical. Even at some points, it is thought to be nasal, but it is not nasal. And about that sass, about the quality of its tone. Belting is a vocal mode categorized by loud sound, rich and high overtones. It is a rich sound when done right. Has a rather high larynx, forward tone, and thick or bunched vocal folds. Basically what needs to happen is everybody needs to get on the same page. Clearly, belting isn't bad. At this point, it's been around for 100 years, and it has developed, and it has gotten healthier. And classical singing teachers need to get with it. It's not going anywhere. And maybe they're just doing it wrong. Maybe learn.